Captain's Log, July 17, 2014. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about Weird Al Yankovic. I want to talk about his new album and the recent news that he's going to stop making regular studio albums now that his contract is up with his record label. And this is not going to be a formal review, certainly, of the album. I'm going to go through it a little bit and talk about my likes and dislikes, so I suppose it is a review, but I don't really have a format for album and music reviews, so I thought I would just kind of talk a little bit in general about Weird Al Yankovic right now. So, 32 years Weird Al has been working and making great parodies and original songs, doing comedy music, and he's been, of course, as everybody knows, the big premier artist in the parody realm forever. And these days, his job is so much different than it used to be, and so much more difficult because he has to compete with so many other parody artists. And these days, it's so much easier to get yourself out there than it ever has been. And of course, that's why people like me do what we do. And so you can, when a song comes out, you can do a parody of it and get it out right away. And so if you have to wait, if you're Weird Al Yankovic and you have to wait 3-5 years to put an album out, the thing that you really want to make fun of not only is outdated by the time you put it out, especially these days with what I always like to call internet time, where things are in some ways more of a flash in the pan, just because, you know, things get up, and then there's so much more quickly than ever before a brand new thing to get your attention and to distract you, and so things seem to sort of maybe, I don't know, at least by my perception, get a lot more outdated more quickly in the minds of a lot of people. But also, there's so much instant gratification these days, and it's so easy to immediately get something up within just a couple of days or less of a thing becoming really popular. As soon as something goes viral or gets incredibly popular, people start lampooning it right away, and I'm no exception. I love making fun of things too. Parody is one of my very favorite things to do, and of course Weird Al helped create that culture. He has a whole lot to do with that culture and why people are doing that, and so I think that what he's doing now makes a whole lot of sense, and I think that it's really interesting looking at this trend and seeing how people are changing, how these folks that have been around for years and years, in Weird Al's case decades, are having to change the way that they do things in order to keep up with what's current and to stay relevant. And I've been saying for a long time that a lot of the current models that a lot of studios and record labels and what have you in the various genres of entertainment are having to, the various media of entertainment, I should say, are having to, or constantly rather, trying to keep together and keep the same as it's been for decades and decades, and just holding on to things that can't last. You're seeing the artists themselves, the people actually making the stuff, having to pull away from that, and they're the people that are really changing it. Obviously, it's the consumer that's really changing it, and then that goes to the at least intelligent artists and producers saying, we can't stay with the same model. We can't just so you see, like, for instance, a lot of you see a lot of movie stars right now going, movies don't seem to be where it's at as much unless you are like a huge summer blockbuster, and these days, weirdly, superhero films and things like that. Wow, that's not where it's at. That's the people aren't going to the movies like they used to. So let's go to television. That's where the really, well, and I mean, I don't even want to say that. Obviously, some movies still make a lot of money. I guess what I mean is that's where a lot of the more interesting, intelligent storytelling and innovation is happening. A lot of people are calling this a new golden age of television, that we have like a television renaissance going on right now. And so you have a lot of movie stars that probably 20 years ago, at the stature that they're at, would never have thought, hey, let's go to television. You know, movie stars are in movies, A-list actors are in movies. Not anymore. You know, Kiefer Sutherland, I think was one of the first people, you know, that I can think of his stature that thought, you know what, let's go on a TV show. Let's risk doing that, and let's stay on for as long as we can stay on. And then obviously, you know, you have people like Kevin Spacey and folks like that now that are, you know, they're kind of seeing where the trends are going. But then you have people like Weird Al. You have musical artists that are looking at where things are going, and they say people aren't buying albums anymore. People are listening to singles. They're listening to single tracks, and the money isn't in buying an album like it used to be. The money is in advertising. It's in monetization. It's in concert sales. You know, it's in places like that. So if you have artists, when I say artists, I just mean anyone creating something. When you have people that are making 6 figures on YouTube or wherever they are on the internet, and it's mostly just monetization or whatever deal they managed to get with some company because they got famous, and they didn't even need a record deal or whatever in order to get that famous in the first place. People like Weird Al are looking at that and saying, what do I need a record label for? What is the point of that? I'm staying with this old, outdated model that's forcing me to have to put things out years after I want to and after it's relevant, and so I'm being, like, if you're Weird Al, I'm being forced to have to come up with these original, like I mean, you know, obviously he's always trying to do original things. I just mean that, like, he's being forced to have to come up with things that nobody else would think of in 3 years. How hard does that have to be? There was a parody that he wanted to do for this album. By the way, it's called Mandatory Fun. That's hilarious that he called it that. I love that title. I've heard that before, and it's an oxymoron. That's really funny. He decided, he at one point wanted to do a parody of the Frozen song Let It Go, and he wanted it to be about Star Trek The Next Generation and call it Make It So. It sucks that we didn't get that song from Weird Al, because he's done Star Trek references, but he's never done just a straight up song about Star Trek. He's done a couple of Star Wars songs, and I've always wanted to see him do the Star Trek song. Somebody else already did it. I haven't looked it up yet. Actually, I wish I'd done that before this. Maybe I'll do that whenever I'm finished recording, because I'm curious to see if the person who did it was any. Well, actually, now that I think about it, the article I read about that said that it got enough popularity that Disney actually decided to enforce copyright and take it down. So maybe I can't even look at it. But yeah, so he was like, well, there was already a parody, it was popular, so I can't do it. Oh, what a shame. So things like that. Now, as soon as he comes up with it, he can get it out. I think this means we're going to get more stuff more often from Weird Al. I think this means you're going to see more Weird Al than you ever have before. I think he's just going to become a YouTube producer, and he's going to put out maybe more regular content. I wouldn't expect like a weekly or twice a month content from him, but you may get, like, you know, an album length a year or something, and I think that would be absolutely fantastic, especially if he continues to write the way he did this album. Boy, is this good, solid stuff from Weird Al. This is the best album, in my opinion, from Weird Al since Poodle Hat. I'm sure some people will disagree with me. I know a lot of people really liked Straight Outta Linwood. I liked several tracks on that, but thought on the whole it wasn't a real great cohesive album. I always look for a sound in an album, and even from Weird Al, and that sounds really strange because he's doing different styles, he's parodying different people, but even with Weird Al, somehow or rather, a lot of his best albums do seem to kind of become a cohesive piece. And maybe saying a singular sound doesn't make any sense. Maybe what I really should say is that it covers so many different paths. I mean, it covers so many different sounds and styles and things that it feels cohesive because it's hitting all of these different beats, and you put them all together and you get a complete piece. And I think the albums that I don't like as much are the ones that seem to focus too much on certain kinds of things. So when he does like a little bit too much rap and R&B, first of all, that's already not my bag. And so but some of my favorite songs have been the ones that he's done of those things. I think Confessions Part 3 is brilliant. So, you know, there's things like that where I'm like, this isn't really my thing, but if it's funny enough and clever enough, sometimes he makes the song so much better for me that I end up actually enjoying the tune in a way that I wouldn't have from the original artist and things like that. But still, if there's too much of the same thing, so the last album, Alpocalypse, again, there were several songs that were pretty, well, there were a few songs on that were pretty good. I don't think anything on that album was really brilliant. I thought overall that one was a little bit lame. This one, I'm really, really impressed with, and part of it might be, and this is a thing sometimes with Weird Al parodies, is that a lot of my favorite stuff tends to be, I actually heard the song before, so I can say, oh, this is fun. He's lampooning something that I'm already familiar with, and so like immediately, you know, your perceptions play into this a little bit, because if it's something you haven't heard before, you feel like you're not totally in on the jokes. So I mean, Weird Al songs, the parodies can work on more than one level, where if the premise and the execution of the idea is good enough, then you're already, and you get the idea, then, you know, you've got that on that one level. Maybe you don't even need to know the original song. My Uncle Steve is a huge, giant Weird Al fan, and he doesn't listen to much popular music. Of course, I don't listen to much at all these days, but I mean, like he's been a Weird Al fan going all the way back, and, you know, Steve in the 80s wasn't listening to popular music, and so a lot of the time, he would hear a Weird Al song before he would ever even hear the original song. Me, I've been into popular music a lot, and like I said, these days I've fallen out of it, but like in the 90s, I was listening to so much current pop and rock that I knew everything that he lampooned in Running with Scissors, including the polka, and I think that's part of the reason that that's my favorite polka, because I know every song in that polka. So anyway, this one, it was fun because there were a couple songs that I knew really well, I think because going back a few years, from right after his last album, I was working in a retail store, and so I was working at a comic shop, and so I was hearing some popular music because we played whatever the popular station was there. So I actually knew a couple things from this. Even still, though, the ones I didn't know, for the most part, I really liked the original concept, and what I really like is when I can't tell it's a parody and I have to go look it up, and loved the song anyway. That's when it's really kind of exciting. I love the variety of styles on this album that he's lampooning, and I love all the biting social satire. There's some stuff here that's pretty cool. Probably my favorite thing right now, and I think a lot of people's, everybody's talking about the song Word Crimes, and by the way, Weird Al is putting out a different album, I'm sorry, he's putting out a new music video every day for 8 straight days. He's doing every song, and one of the albums that's already come up is Word Crimes, and I think that the song is even better, and I'd already listened to it 4 or 5 times before I watched the video, and I think that it's even better when you watch the video because there's a number of things, like that song rattles off language so quickly that there were a number of things that I didn't pick up on, that I picked up on, even listening to it several times, when I listened to, or when I saw the music video. So that's one that I didn't know the song. I've never heard that song before. That is a parody of Blue Lines by Robin Thicke. I've never heard that before, and thought it was original at first. And so I really kind of like that feeling where I go, I love this, and I didn't even need to know that it was an original song. And it's impressive with that much. You know, it reminds me a little bit of Taco Grande, where it's like with with just the sheer number of words in that and play on words and getting that much stuff together, making the whole thing coherent, that you get to the end of it and you find out, oh, that was actually a song. It sounds like something you would have to put together from scratch. That's more impressive than anything for me with a parody. So Word Crimes resonates a lot with me because I'm such a grammar buff, and I was an English major, and the kind of degeneration of language that we've had over the last several years has really bothered me, and I love stuff that makes fun of the fact that we Americans don't know how to use grammar anymore, and I always feel kind of self-conscious about it because being on the internet all the time now and using YouTube and reading probably more comments and tweets and things that I do of actual real honest-to-God literature, it affects me, and I find myself making stupid mistakes, and I find myself really rusty sometimes in my grammar, and it drives me crazy. So it was really kind of fun to hear all that made fun of, and in a really intelligent way. I think probably 35% of the song is just making fun of people who use grammar badly, sort of in that same kind of spirit of making fun of like say, he does this in a lot of songs where he'll kind of be singing to someone who is the stupidest of the stupid in a particular category, sort of like with like all About the Pentiums, somebody who knows nothing about computers and has no idea what they're doing, to the point where they're using an Etch-a-Sketch and calling it a computer, and it was kind of like that with Word Crimes, but then the rest of it, and it's really well mixed, is Weird Al telling you like kind of the worst of the worst in what people are screwing up right now in grammar, and here are what the rules are actually supposed to be, and things like, you know, you don't use quotation marks for emphasis, and here's what a contraction is. And I really liked that. It was kind of educational in a funny way, because obviously he's the target audience there is people using the internet and learn how to write, and it made me kind of think about things like, what is conversational speech on the internet, right? Well, I've heard this argument a lot, where it's like, well, I shouldn't have to use correct grammar or even complete sentences, and it's okay to use letters as words. By the way, the letters as words line is one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time, unless you're 7 or your name is Prince. That's great. And it's like a lot of people, okay, in conversational English, there's a lot of things we get away with because of colloquialisms and things like that, and you know, I find myself not even correcting people's grammar a lot, because it seems kind of rude, and it's like, well, it's not like they're writing something formal. This is the way that this person talks. They probably picked up things colloquially and regionally and that sort of thing, and so, like, you know, it's not incorrect for the context that they're using it in. But then a lot of what we do now, a lot of the way we communicate now, is through words and through written language, and so should those sorts of rules be the same when we're talking about the written word online, or should people have to follow the same kind of rigid rules that we would expect them to, like, you know, in a paper, even an informal paper, and that kind of thing? And I generally kind of tend to lean toward yes on that for a couple of reasons. One of them is, well, I guess I'm just talking about how I feel about language right now, but this is a topic that interests me, and where else am I going to talk about it? A lot of the time, I kind of say, yes, you oughta, even even in conversational language online, you should write correctly, because anytime you write the way you write, you're affected by that. You're going to, it's like that kind of age-old adage: if you practice it wrong, you're gonna do it wrong on opening night, right? And so if you are practicing that incorrectly when you actually have to write informally, essentially it's still writing, it's still the same thing, and so you're gonna kind of deaden those skills. You're not practicing those skills correctly. But also, people just take you more seriously, and it's communication. Like if you're following the rules, generally speaking, there's some things that are kind of arbitrary, but generally speaking, if you're following the rules of grammar, people are going to understand what you're saying better, or at least they're supposed to. And that's part of the problem right now, is that as we're degenerating it, the rules are sort of kind of changing. But anyway, maybe that's a GNN topic. So I'm gonna mention a couple other or a few other songs here, and just how I felt about this album on the whole. I'll kind of jump around. So there's a song called "Sports Song" that is a generic football fight song, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's really funny. I love the all of the satire about that, kind of making fun of the silly, or what I've always thought is kind of the silly idea of school spirit, and it's kind of completely, again, generic. It's just, okay, we are the best because this is the school we go to, and we're supposed to like it more than anything else for no good reason whatsoever. And he writes a song that is just like every other sports song you've ever heard, except it's the most generalized thing ever, and I think it's really funny. Lame Claim to Fame I like a lot, or at least the examples. That's one of those Weird Al example songs where he says, okay, here's this concept, and then let's deliver a whole bunch of different absurd examples and keep kind of escalating and making it crazier as it goes along of this thing. And here, the idea is, here's all of these, it's almost like it's all these different people who have kind of like maybe met a celebrity one time or something, and my favorite is, and like that's their claim to fame, and my favorite is, I left a comment first in a YouTube video, for obvious reasons. I really enjoyed that, and anyway, so the only thing I didn't like about that song is I felt like, from the perspective of the people that are talking about their lame claim to fame, it seemed like it would have made more sense and maybe been funnier, maybe, if these people thought that their lame claim to fame was actually genuine, and that this was a really good reason to be famous. So it seemed a little bit of a strange juxtaposition to get into the chorus, and he's actually saying it's a lame claim to fame. That seemed like kind of an odd choice to me, but I really enjoyed the examples. I thought that was really that all was really funny. Handy is a parody of Fancy by Azalea, and I like that there was a parody that he did in the late 80s, early 90s. I can't remember if it was a Run DMC song. Oh man, I can't remember now. It was a really popular a rap song about plumbing, and I always thought that parody was really lame because there wasn't enough. Man, this is gonna drive me crazy. I can't remember the name of it, but like there weren't enough lyrics in that song, and so it was a little bit lame. And I thought that this wasn't just about plumbing; it was about just a general handyman. But I thought he kind of came back and finally did that concept right, and he picked the right material for it this time. So I thought that was fun. There's, In My Own Eyes is a kind of a style parody of Foo Fighters. That was maybe the one thing on the album that I thought was really, really mediocre and lackluster. It seemed a little bit just kind of uninspired to me. The polka is great. Again, I knew more of the songs this time, and I really enjoyed that. But you know, the polkas are one of the big reasons to get the albums. And again, this is his best polka, I think, in 3 albums. What else? We had a Mission Statement. This is great. So this was a style parody of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and I love it when he goes back in time, and because I like that he's doing all these varied styles, and it's really fun to hear him go back to the 70s. He does a really good Stills and Nash parody, but Crosby, Stills, and Nash pastiche. But what was really fun about that was the commentary, because it's what he does is he just takes all of these buzzwords and these mission statements from different companies and just throws them all together in one big pot in this song. And as you're listening to it, or as I was listening to it, I found myself thinking, wow, all of this kind of business stuff these words that they throw around, they mean nothing. They just put all these things together and say, if you do this, you will be successful. And throwing around words like synergy and stuff like that, and it just didn't mean anything. There are all these pointless buzzwords. It's really gimmicky, and I really hearing Weird Al just throw it all together, and it speaks for itself. He never comes out and says, isn't this ridiculous, or shouldn't we get back to basics and stop throwing around all these words and just actually conduct good business through common sense by actually having some on-the-job training and being there instead of going to college and having someone tell you how it's done. But all of those ideas were inherent there just in how ridiculous it actually sounded. And Weird Al's not really writing any of this. He's just pulling it from different places, putting it all together, and so like the satire just comes from what it is, and I thought that was quite sophisticated. Inactive was a parody of Radioactive. I wasn't sure how parodyable of a song that ultimately was. I kind of like that he's choosing stuff that doesn't go on forever. I mean, Trapped in the Drive-Thru is a song that's fun to listen to one time, but doesn't have any replay value to me, and a lot of these really do. So I don't know. That was the other one that I thought was like somewhat uninspired, but I think it was more just a choice that, okay, he picked it because it was super popular, and it's of a kind of style of music that he hasn't really done on the album yet, but it's, I don't know, I think because, and by the way, that's a song that I don't hate. Like, I kind of like that song, but like Radioactive, but like a lot of songs, a lot of these pop songs now are through a filter. The lead vocalist is through a filter to the point where it's hard to understand the lyrics in the first place, and that made it somewhat of a strange thing to parody. And then First World Problems was a style parody of the Pixies, and again, some really good social commentary there about people who are out of touch and have too much and don't, or have maybe not too much, but have a lot and don't appreciate what they have, and so their perspective is so skewed that that if you were super poor and you listened to the things that they complained about, it would become really absurd. Tacky is fantastic. It's a parody of Happy and by Pharrell Williams, and the music video for that is absolutely fantastic. It's done as a oneer through this fantastic building that I think was used in The Big Lebowski, and it's got Jack Black in it. It's got Margaret Cho in it, and some of the outfit. It's supposed to be like obviously the song. It's about being tacky in lots of different ways. I think the funniest line in that is about he says that he goes to funerals and takes selfies with the deceased. That's one of the funnier things he's said in a while. But anyway, he's going through this building, and then these other famous comedians pop in and start singing the song instead of Weird Al. And they're all wearing these really tacky clothes. What's really funny is sometimes I found myself going, oh, I actually kind of like that shirt. Like Margaret Cho's, I was like, I don't know, that it looks kind of okay on you, I guess. Like the right person could maybe pull that off. So I don't know, it was kind of fun. And then the last song was Jackson Park Express, which was a style parody of Cat Stevens, and that's another of his. Let's do a song insanely long and see if we can get away with it. And part of what's funny about it is just the absurd length of it. It overstays its welcome. It's self-indulgent, and it knows it. And I mean, he'll never beat Albuquerque for those songs, in my opinion. And sometimes he's tried those, and they've kind of missed. Like one of the first ones was Biggest Ball of Twine. Maybe the first. I don't know if he did anything longer than this before that, but Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota, I never really cared for. I don't know, that seemed like a concept over execution thing to me a little bit. And then like he did the one making fun of French people, and I didn't think that really worked. This one's pretty good. It took me a minute to get what he was doing, and it's about a guy who goes on the Jackson Park Express, and he meets this girl, and they only communicate through through gazes and body language, and he misunderstands all of what they are saying to each other through body language as being a lot more extravagant and complex than it actually is. And, like, they have this whole relationship in like 5 minutes, and it gets really hilariously absurd. So I don't know. I enjoyed it, but again, I don't think it has a whole lot of replay value. So I don't know. It's an album where 2 or 3 of the tracks I don't think I would go back to a whole lot unless I was listening to the whole album, but several were really spot on hits for me. I really enjoyed it. I feel like Weird Al is back in a really big way right now, and I think he's going to feel a lot more present here in a minute than he has in a really long time. And it's going to be nice to see him actually competing on the day with a lot of these other artists that are coming out and writing parodies also, because I think that when you have that kind of competition, it forces everybody to kind of up their game a little bit. I think that's just what Weird Al's trying to do. Well, I didn't mean to make this video as long as it is. I got off on a few tangents there. Sorry about that. But this is something I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. So I don't know. I was very excited about this album. I didn't find out about it until a few days before it came out, and I was like, oh well, what a coincidence. My son has just gotten huge into Weird Al over the last couple months. Here pretty soon, I'm going to be doing a top 10 list of my favorite original Weird Al songs. Nobody talks about the original Weird Al songs. Everybody talks about the parodies, and he's got a lot of really great originals, and I think it would be fun to kind of go down a list and talk about them. And I may be doing that one with another person. So anyway, that should be coming to us here in a little bit. I want to apologize once again for the lack of output this week. I have been busy doing a huge shoot for Spawn Year today. In fact, I'm incredibly sore right now from the shoot that we did today. That's all I'll say about it. It's a big thing for the end of Spawn Year. Starting tomorrow, I'll be back to daily Spawn Years again, and should be getting the output back pretty regularly again starting tomorrow. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Sure appreciate it. I want to know what you thought of the new Weird Al album if you watched it, and I'll put the links to the videos that have been up so far in the description. Looking forward to hearing from you, and thanks as always for watching. I sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan, and this concludes today's obnoxiously and absurdly long Captain's Log.